We are going to talk about a movie.
This is gonna be a disaster.
It was one of the best movies of the year.
It's gonna go so well. Probably one of the last movies I would ever want to see in a theater.
Hello and welcome to episode 11 of 10 Years On. I am your host, Jacob Blunden, and I am joined by my co-host as always, Taylor Robinson. How are you?
I'm great.
That's good.
Super great.
We're, of course, looking at the films that were released on March 19th, 2010. But before we get to those, I am joined by my wonderful panel, Nick and Peter. How are you guys?
I'm doing well.
Yeah,
Yeah?
very well.
I'm doing well.
Very well.
So like just with gusto and just so like, yeah, no, I'm doing definitely well.
I feel like I was trying to convince myself I'm doing well.
Like it's one of those things where you like to say, I could complain, but there's no point. So,
That is fair. Well, I'm going to have to throw it over to you guys for our
this
first
one,
movie.
we
So
can talk about some of it.
we can talk about some of it. So the three films released this week are Repo Man, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, and The Bounty Hunter. So it was a really great
What
week.
a hot week for cinema, am I right?
Wow, we had a really great week.
not wowie, zooey mama. That's what we're going to say for the rest of the show.
Dr. Cop Out showing up already.
You did that. You did that.
You did that. Okay. So we're going to start with our first film with Repo Man. Set in the near future when artificial organs can be bought on credit, it revolves around a man who struggles to make the payments on a heart he has purchased. He must therefore go on the run before said ticker is repossessed.
Before we get into poster talk, he doesn't purchase the heart.
That's not
No.
a
It's
very
forced upon him.
apt
Yeah.
description
He doesn't
of the
choose-
plot.
No.
To do
No.
that, actually.
nitpicking.
So, shame on you, whoever wrote that description.
Shame on IMDb.
Yes.
It's just an interesting way to frame that.
It makes it
because-
sound much more interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Full disclosure, I pulled out of this movie. This is the first movie I've gone, nah, can't do it.
Yeah.
This
And
is...
it's not necessarily because it's the worst movie we've seen. It's just the grossest.
Yeah, easily easily the
So-
grossest, and I'm not great with gore, so I pulled out. I've seen about half an hour of the movie. It's a 2-hour movie, so I can talk about the first half hour.
So we'd go. I first of all, what do we think of this poster before we get into this?
I mean,
it's pretty average, I think.
There's a lot of blank space down the bottom. Isn't
yeah.
there? I was like,
I mean, it's not really... I don't think it's really selling the kind of movie it is.
I don't think so
Because,
either.
like,
It's
this
more like a
movie
buddy
is-
cop movie,
Yeah.
is what this
Like
poster
that,
looks
yeah,
like.
that looks... It's kind of like low-rent Training Day
Yeah.
kind of thing. And
action-packed, which it's not really.
No, it's not.
action-packed.
This doesn't look like it's as gritty as it should be for the kind of content they're trying to.
It should
deal
have like
with.
a lot of like blood splatter.
Yeah.
I mean, Jude Law's looking all right.
He looked young. Like, I know this was 10 years ago, but he was like looking young and fresh in this movie.
He is
you know
in
what I mean?
like,
Like he-
quite nice shape in this movie.
He wears a lot of tight button-up shirts. He is
He's-
a tight button-up shirt boy in this film.
Toy.
Toy. But yeah.
Okay.
I
with
actually
that-
think that poster's far more interesting.
yes, the IMDb.
The
one.
IMDb
Yeah,
poster,
I
I
agree.
think, is far more interesting because at least they're playing with like color and they're like
Yes.
they have something going
And I got
on.
the red on there for Repo.
Yeah.
It's at least aesthetically more interesting to look at than
Yes.
this
And
one.
this very generic.
This was the cover for the Australian DVD
Yeah.
when it came out. I remember this, so...
The
Okay.
big black R18
I'll put up a
plus.
picture.
Yeah.
I'll put up a picture when I'm editing all this of the other one,
Yeah.
just so everybody can see it. But
All right.
all right, Jacob, what did you think of the first 30 minutes of this movie?
I was bored out of my brains, and I was just very grossed out by how just the gore was just so over the top, and not in a disgusting way, not a, oh, okay, cool, you have to be there. Like, Wolfman had gore, but it was fun. Like, the gore is violent and fun,
This one, they're like ripping a person open and taking things out of them, and it's just
And
gross.
you see
Like,
everything.
Yeah.
There was a scene that I think kind of pushed you over the edge a little bit where I just went, close your eyes. and don't look until I tell. Like I was literally like, don't open your eyes because this is just getting more gross, and I will tell you when it's over. It was just one of those. It's like the first one he does where he actually has to like cut the guy, and then it's yeah. And it's just like, ugh. and
Saw-esque.
Yeah, almost.
But I feel like Saw gets away with it because its whole ideology is like you need to torture yourself for redemption, whereas this one's like
this was very much just gore for
like
the
we
sake
need
of
to
being gory.
like
there wasn't any.
You could have had
this isn't necessary. In any way. You could have
implied a lot of the violence.
And implied violence is often far more disturbing.
Yeah, and I think this movie could have been very interesting because I don't necessarily mind the theme that they're going for, which is we get to a point where people are desperate, they're buying new organs for themselves, and then all of a sudden they can't afford these new organs they have. I'm fascinated by what a world like that could look like.
Yeah.
But when this movie said, oh, like, we don't actually care about if people can pay for these things or not. We just need to get them to sign for them. And then when they can't pay for them, we make more money.
Yeah.
Like, we want people who can't actually afford them because we make more money that way.
Yeah.
And as soon as that line comes up, I was just like, I already hate what this movie is trying to say.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you could say that without literally putting a line in the movie.
No.
And it would have been, like, that's my problem, I think, with how the whole movie is executed, is they, like, try to hit you over the head with things where
they're like
doing it subtly.
Look how bad everyone is.
I mean,
in
that's
this
it.
movie.
It was just like the line is very much like saying what's happening, and then the violence is very much like
just showing you
what's happening. Yeah.
So, and that's why being a 2-hour movie is why it feels so long and boring, because it's not giving you the chance to sort of figure things out or like, try and grasp an understanding, because it is just telling and showing everything. And this movie was a slog to watch. It just felt so long. And like I said, the violence isn't interesting because you get enough gore in the first 30 minutes and it doesn't necessarily get gorier. You're just so desensitized to it by then. You're like, yeah, cool.
But it was quite funny because you said there's one scene that you guys, like the scene that you stopped at was like when he's pulling it out of his chest.
Yeah. When he gets his own heart put in and he's walking through the hospital and
he just starts pulling.
That was like, I'm done.
But it was funny because I was like, in my mind, I was like, that's probably
the scene.
It's probably the worst that you're just like, okay, if you get past that scene, the rest of the movie isn't. But I mean, you didn't exactly stay for like a great movie. No. But like the violence and the gore at that point.
The different movie it becomes as well, by the way.
So is that actually paid off at all? Do you feel like? Because it seems like it might have been an interesting twist in a decent movie, but like...
No, because the movie changes at that point. The movie becomes... a movie about an uprising, a resistance, who are like, we don't like the people selling us these organs, are trying to steal our money. So it's like Jude Law, when he's on the run, joins Alice Braga in this
like
resistance.
He's lived his whole life taking organs from people, and now he's like in the situation.
Yeah.
And so he joins the uprising, and they kind of easily accept him, which I sort of think
they take him in straight away.
Like probably not what people would do, because they were like, you're part of the problem,
you're a repo man, we should probably just kill you and take your heart.
And then it brings in like the love story aspect, which is just bullshit and tacked on.
It's not. It's added in with such like forceful nature, because we get one scene with Alice Braga in that first 30 minutes. And then all of a sudden we're supposed to be like, just because he's in the uprising, they should now be a romantic relationship. In a movie that doesn't need a romantic relationship.
No, because he's married and...
to Melisandre from Game of Thrones.
And you kind of get that their relationship, their marriage is fine, and...
They got a kid.
They have a son, and she's constantly like, I don't want you to take... more jobs. I don't like that you're working with Forrest Whitaker. Like, I want you to end this. And then,
because Forrest Whitaker is like
he's like the gung ho.
He's the gun. He's like, I like pulling things out of people. He's like, I'm a renegade. Don't give a shit sort of dude. Which Forrest Whitaker can play well, but that's the only dimension to his character.
And then Forrest Whitaker does the job at Jude Law's house.
Yeah.
By taking someone's heart.
Yeah.
She sees that understandably is upset. But then it's like they immediately separate, Jude Law and his wife.
Yeah.
And then within like 40 minutes, he's like fallen in love with
40
Alice
minutes.
Braga's
40
character.
minutes in the world of the movie,
the world of the
not
movie.
even the movie movie as well.
But like,
so
it'd be
it's-
different if Jude Law's character was already divorced at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, it would make more sense. But the fact it was like, yo, you were married.
Yeah.
And now a few days later, you're like completely in love with this woman who...
just enamored by it. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
and
it
from
just-
what I saw in the little bit of the movie that we did watch, it wasn't from his end, really. It didn't seem like that the problem was in terms of feelings. Like, it seemed like she was the one that was kind of over it.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
was still invested in trying to keep
And he's just like...
going.
and it was kind of like, I'm doing this for
yeah.
us to
Yeah.
have a life together because it's bringing in money. Like,
So it
you never
just-
get the idea that Jude Law likes doing this.
Right.
He's
but
just doing
but
it
then for
because
him to
it's-
just move on 40 minutes later when it didn't seem like he was the
he
one
was the,
with...
yeah.
The movie's so inconsistent with that though, because they make it seem like he doesn't like it, and then we get that flashback to their first job, and they walk out of that house together, and they're like laughing like buddy cop together, like, oh, this could be the start of a great working relationship. Like the movie is so inconsistent, but the way this movie fucking
All right,
ends,
lay it on us.
oh my god! So there's like a recurring theme throughout the movie. He's counting the times he's been knocked unconscious, and he's like, "Oh, you know, I zap whatever the resuscitation zap defibbed someone, and it threw me back into a wall and knocked me out." And there's all these other ones, and then there's one point where a hook on a crane hits him in the back of the head, and he gets knocked out again. And this is where then the movie becomes like tonally a little different, and we get the whole plan. They're going to break into this organ place because they're going to like repo themselves, they keep saying,
Yeah.
and like try and get them out of the system so they can live together forever. And they really easily break into this place. The fight scene is completely unrealistic. It's kind of cool, but it is...
It reminded me of like Old Boy.
It's a hallway fight scene in which Jude Law has one like curved bladed knife, like
And
the
beats,
Velociraptor,
like 12 men.
with guns, by the way.
Who all like do that thing where they like wait for him to kill someone.
It's
and
a
go,
one at a time.
Oh, no, we'll go in and be like, no, shoot
And
him in the head.
He's
and get
just
rid of
spinning around with his blade and like slitting throat. And so it's very bloody and gory.
Great.
And they make it in. They make it into this room. And then they're like, oh no, we have to like, we can't just be in this room. We actually can't leave until the organs are
have been
placed, like scanned and placed in this thing. So they proceed to start getting really close to each other, you know, heavy, not even kissing at this point. They're just like heavy breathing on each other's necks,
Yeah.
very sensually. And they start cutting each other open very graphically. There's blood everywhere. People are shoving hands up inside
like
of
it's
each
meant
other.
to be this
The mu-
emotional romantic
It's
movement where she cuts Jude Law open, shoves her hand her hand
she shoves her hand into
chest,
his rib cage to scan
scan
the
it.
heart,
and then they do this whilst
They're
sexy music is playing.
they're basically fucking without penetration.
Yeah.
But there is penetration technically because they're inside of each other.
And then they like sort of randomly like kiss each other.
Yeah, they start kissing and making out, and he's like, it's like cutting parts of her back of her ears so he can scan. And they're like rubbing, and they're losing a lot of blood.
Yeah.
But they still have the virility and the sexual prowess to continue the non-fucking fucking. And it is the weirdest scene I have ever
really
watched in a movie before. There is nothing that is supposed to be like, as an audience member, you're not supposed to go, wow, this is very sensual. Like, I get this. Like, I don't get this
Yeah.
at all. Like, as a 13-year-old boy when this came out, imagine this is your sexual awakening. That's how fucking serial killers are made.
But also imagining like a 13-year-old boy like Nick
Still am.
watching this scene
Oh, yeah.
and not being aroused by it proves how unsexy it is.
Speaking volumes about my sexual prowess history. But so that bit's disgusting.
That
Don't
part's
get me
weird
wrong.
enough as it is.
And Forrest Whitaker comes in and helps them. They kill Liev Schreiber's character in a blaze of glory, and then they put grenades into the drawer they're supposed to put their organs in. They blow up the system, and they're in the system no longer.
Spoiler, by the way.
And then they're on the beach together. How lovely. They're drinking Mai Tais. Forrest Whitaker's like being like, I don't drink Mai Tais. I'm a man. I drink beers. And they're chatting, and Alice Braga walks into the ocean, and then...
And you sort of think, oh,
This
okay,
isn't
happy
weird, but
ending.
happy ending.
Weird, but happy ending.
And then Jude Law looks to where Forrest Whitaker's sitting, and he's not there anymore. And then some flickering starts happening. You're like, what's going on? And we get taken back to the scene where Jude Law has been hit in the head by the hook, and he's on a stretcher. He's got like pins and stuff like in his head to keep his head straight. And then Forrest Whitaker's there is like, I need you to like keep my friend alive. So they've put an artificial brain on Jude Law, and they're like, don't worry, he's on a beach right now. He's all good. He's going to live a very happy rest of his natural life in this world. So you find out that the whole last 40 to 50 minutes of this movie has been a fucking dream.
It's been Jude Law in some weird sex matrix.
In a and it was all for nothing because Forrest Whitaker's then like, don't worry, I can pay for it, blah, blah, blah. So this is the nicest thing we've seen Forrest Whitaker do the whole movie.
Like Forrest Whitaker is like an absolute asshole this entire movie.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he's just like, oh, but I don't want my friend to suffer.
Yeah.
Even though I'm
he's
just
like,
trying to kill my
pay
friend.
for it all. And then the movie goes back to the beach. Forrest Whitaker's back in the beach with him again. Jude Law's like, oh, that's okay.
And then it ends.
This movie sucks, dude.
So basically, it's just a very, very unwanted look at Jude Law's character's gross sexual fantasies for the last 40 minutes.
Basically.
And I feel like Jude Law might have some weird sex fantasies.
Oh, God, yeah.
But like, at the same time, I'm not going to fight it because Jude Law is, you know...
He's looking good in the movie.
That's
so
a very
it's okay.
weird...
It's just the biggest... It's like it's a massive cop out.
It was annoying. Like it was the attempt at being like you didn't see this coming, and it's like, well, we didn't because you haven't
given, like,
any seeds for it.
It would have been interesting if like there was weird flickerings throughout the whole movie, or like
Yeah.
things disappearing, or where
Doesn't
you would have
happen.
gone.
Then you could have been like,
Oh.
And because of how not absurd, but how like insane the movie is leading up to it, everything that happens after that, you kind of can believe. Like that's like, oh, this could happen in this movie's universe.
As weird as the sex thing is, and as weird as it is when they're on the beach, you kind of like
This movie would do that.
This would happen.
So they don't really establish world building rules to where you can kind of go, this probably like
Nothing
to give you a
else-
clue to say.
Like,
Yeah.
it'd be different if like people that they were doing organ checks on, if there was some sort of like,
If they talked about a brain,
they're in a better place. Like it'd be different if that happened.
But they
this
don't
was
bring it
like
up.
no. So I literally was like thinking, they just had this story and went, we need to somehow like come up with some sort of amazing plan that'll fuck everybody off and everything. And you're like, well, you've
I'd be
done it.
intrigued to see if the book has the same ending. I'm not going to read the book. I don't give a shit. But like, I might look it up on
I'll
Wikipedia.
look up the synopsis of the book and see.
But there is one funny moment in the movie that did make... There's only one funny moment. And it's when they're in the car together at the beginning. I think you guys would have seen this in the first half hour. And they're watching the overweight man eat McDonald's. And Jude Law scans him, and he's like, he's got 2 more weeks until it's overdue. And the guy's like, I'm going to pay. He's like, I'll see you in 2 weeks, you fat fuck. And I was like, that's kind of actually funny.
Completely forgot that even happened.
I wrote it down because it's the only night.
No, I do remember that. Where I was like, oof.
Oh, that's like, if that's the only good
But I
bit
mean, also
in
like,
your movie.
if we just had a movie where Jude Law is tracing down the fat McDonald's guy, like that could have been something really fun.
It would have been more of a comedy, but yeah, I don't recommend this movie.
Nah.
We almost went back to like finish it because we were like, maybe we can like get through it, and then it was just
No.
I wasn't paying another
already-
$5 to rent it, so
No.
yeah.
It's on Amazon.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
we don't really use Amazon.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to our next film, which was the first one we've ever done a commentary for. So
The commentary.
there is a commentary
So much fun.
in our audio
Yeah.
playlist. So if you go over to our audio playlist, you can actually watch this one live with us.
Or you
And
can just listen to us talk about the movie so you don't have
And
to
like
watch
that,
it.
Actually
talk
watch
about
it,
the movie and then not talk about the movie.
It
Yeah,
gives
half
you an
of it-
insight into our lives as well.
half of this film, we weren't even actually like really watching. I was trying, but we were also talking.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of fun. You guys should
yeah,
check it
so
out.
I feel
check it
like collectively between the 4 of us, we watched the whole movie.
Yeah.
We still can absolutely comment on it.
Oh, yeah. So let us move on and talk about A Diary of a Wimpy Kid. The adventures of a 12-year-old boy who is fresh out of elementary and transitions to middle school, where he has to learn the consequences and responsibilities to survive the year.
The cheese touches on
there.
Cool.
I mean, the consequences to survive the year, I think it's more the consequences of being a dick.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. But the other problem...
Oh, change D and K, Diary of a Wimpy Dick.
The other problem with that description is by the end, he doesn't learn anything.
No.
He's still an asshole.
Yeah.
Still an asshole. You might glow up to be hot, but you're a little fucktard.
How different does he... Like, I always just forget how much of a glow up he has within this franchise as well. But,
I mean the poster
poster's
kind
fine.
of sells it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
It's
call
a-
him... I don't think I'd call him a wimpy kid.
No, I don't think I would
call
either.
it
little-
yeah.
He's kind of a bully, actually.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
shit stirrer.
And oh well, I mean, yeah, it's a meh poster.
Yes.
Like it's,
Yeah. Is he looking at the camera?
I think so.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you want me to
Don't
zoom in?
No, don't Johnny Depp zoom
actually,
in.
no.
I'm not that desperate.
You know what? Yes.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, he's looking-
Yeah, it's not
He's giving like a.
That's a
That's a shit.
that's
eating
a
fucking
photo where they've
there.
said, just over here, and as soon as he looks, he's like, click. All right, cool. That's the poster. we
Yeah,
got it.
basically.
Like
The poster doesn't even make him look like the drawing does, where he's supposed to be like the victim. It just
Yeah.
makes him look like he's ready to punch someone in the face because he's an asshole.
Like you're going to bully a
Like-
kid that looks like your shadow.
That's what it looks like to me. But
let's
so
talk about this one.
we're not going to spend too long on this one because there is a whole commentary
Yes.
you guys can go listen to.
Yeah.
But what are some thoughts that we have here?
Well, I think we've all touched on the fact that he's not a likable person
No.
at all. Like movies like this, we're meant to feel
Compassion.
something. Compassion.
Yeah,
that's a good word
sympathy.
for it. For this kid.
How hard it is to be in middle school,
Yeah.
like that kind of stuff.
And he is so mean to
Fraud.
all of his friends.
So what is his friends? There's Rowley?
Rowley.
Rowley.
Rowley's his main friend.
That's
and
the
then
little
Fragley
McCarthy, as we called
is
him.
Little Melissa McCarthy.
And Fregley.
Fragley's
Fragley is the little ginger kid.
Fragley is the worst of the worst. He is at the bottom of the list.
That's right, yeah.
In popularity.
popularity.
And
list,
he's really like he's
I mean-
fine. He's a nice little kid.
He's,
You know?
He was just the little weird outcast kid that no one understood.
He's got the
He's the one that should be the wimpy kid. Like, this should
Yeah,
be
it
his
should be
movie,
his
really.
movie.
should be about
Yeah.
him, yeah, because that is a wimpy kid,
Yeah.
right there.
But that's the problem with this film. The straight up the premise is that, oh, cool, we want to follow this really unlikable kid who has a diary. This was meant to be a journal
Because he can't have a diary as a
No.
boy.
No,
because
that's it.
Can't do that.
And someday when he's
Gay.
because
like that's ultimately what the movie says is that's like it doesn't say gay but like it's like that's how it treats in 2010 that's what they're ultimately saying.
They're like, you can't be a boy and
You
have
can't
a
be a
diary
boy
where
and
you
have a
talk about
diary?
feelings
Ugh.
and emotions and
What-
it's got to be your book that you're writing when you're going to be famous and you don't want to
and
answer questions.
you don't want to answer questions. So here, just read
I
my
forgot
journal.
that was why he does it.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
This movie's not good. This movie is really, really,
It's a
really
really
not
bad
good.
example for kids,
It
actually.
is, and there's also there's not even like there's no lesson learned.
No, he's
Like,
the
it's
same
just-
person at the end of the
and
movie.
like everything that goes wrong, and he has the chance to like apologize for it, like the way that he gets his friend into trouble.
Yeah.
And then
Poor
his friend
Rowley.
is like, "You did this," and his reaction is just like, "Oh, either I helped you become popular, or can't we just get over it?" Like
He literally says that.
Yeah.
Though. He's like, no, we can just we'll just be best friends again tomorrow. Like Rowley standing up to him was the moment of the movie where I was like, yes,
Yes,
fuck
Rowley.
yes, Rowley.
I feel like
Take what's
this
yours.
movie spoke to a lot of kids, and now that we're dealing with the teenage versions of them, where they think that everything is an attack on
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's what this movie has helped with because he's
Awesome.
he feels like he feels like the victim this whole movie when he's just being an asshole to everyone, and then he's
Yeah.
like, why does my life suck? Why does everyone hate me?
like
There's
maybe it's you.
maybe read your diary and just with a little bit of more perspective and be like, no, it was me all along.
And the movie doesn't say that at the end.
No. Well, because
The-
I mean, we
the
got
movies-
3 more movies to get
But
through before we
still,
realize that.
like,
too.
it doesn't leave you anywhere to like continue another movie with, except just him still being an
That's so
asshole.
true.
Yeah,
Actually,
I'm
yeah.
surprised we got more movies after this because this doesn't end on any sort of like note
What's the
where
next?
like
Yeah.
where can he go next? It's like, well, he's just going to go to the next grade and be a dick
Be the
to
same
people.
person because kids don't learn from their mistakes if no one tells them.
Positive, Chloe Grace Moretz is in this.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And I mean,
I don't know if that's okay. It's a positive because hey, cool, she's okay in it. Like she's
that's my positive.
Yeah.
Like, she's in it. She's fine. I think
feel
she's a
bad
nice-
for her.
She's always a nice presence. in
She
films.
definitely like her role in this
Her-
movie is so
it's-
weird
it's
though.
weird.
It's almost like she's an imaginary friend because no one else ever
Yes.
talks
I was
to
gonna
her.
say that. It's like it's almost like she's like purely for what's his name? Greg?
Yes.
Yep. I feel like she's almost like,
She almost has to
This-
be
you know, not his conscience, but like she kind of just
I know
pops
what you
in,
mean, though, yeah.
And she looks
Older,
way older
yeah.
than everyone else.
But
Yeah.
she's kind of meant to be in the same grade.
Was she?
I don't know though. They
I don't
never
know.
explain who she
I-
actually is.
I
Really,
think she was
so.
in the last grade of middle school. I think.
But then it's
And,
weird that
yeah.
she's hanging out with them. Like she's,
Well-
you never see her in the calls with like
No.
other.
She's always just under the bleachers.
I think we see her in the hall once, but once
But
again,
not-
she's only with
Greg.
like she's only talking to him.
Yeah.
And
And it'd be different if she was like his sister or his cousin or something, but she's not.
No.
She's just.
It's
It
just-
even really kind of implies that he has a crush on her. Like,
Yeah.
But then it's-
But then it doesn't.
Yeah.
yeah, weird.
It's very weird, but
Listen
you know
to
what
the
this
commentary,
you know
bro.
what this movie gave us though? The cheese
the
touch.
cheese touch.
The
The
cheese
bloody
touch.
cheese
Cheese
touch.
touch.
Oh.
I almost threw up at the end of the movie, by the way.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not. It's
So-
not good.
I know
When-
it did. Hey, if you listen to the audio, you can actually hear me basically
You
throw up.
were regurgitating.
I was
hard.
very close.
That
I was very
funny.
Like we
close.
probably should explain what the cheese touch is. Or should we just be like, watch the movie?
No, just listen to our
Just listen to the commentary.
You'll see.
It's
You'll
fucking
see what the
gross.
cheese
so
touch
I'll
is.
The
have
cheese
fun with
touch.
that.
Jesus
it's,
Christ.
It's rank.
Yeah.
It's very rank. I guess that's our opinion on the movie.
Yeah.
Go.
Don't watch the movie. Go listen to our
Just listen
commentary.
to it.
And and if you want to watch the movie with our commentary on, because it's
That
a
will
fucking treat you.
I was
guys.
going to say
It
that
is.
will definitely increase the
The-
watchability
Yes.
of that movie
Yes.
Yes.
a lot.
Yeah.
It will. Not a very strong recommendation around the board, though, from either
No.
of us. That is.
We
yeah.
literally we watched the first like 5 minutes of the movie and then we texted the group chat and went we all need to get through this one together, guys.
this is one where we've all got to take it.
I'm glad you did because I was actually going home that night to watch it. So the fact that you guys just started for, I was like, thank
I think I would. Yeah, I think.
would've done
I mean, if we all watched it individually,
But
our
on
group
the
chat
same
would have
night,
been
yeah.
like, what the fuck?
fire, pure fire.
So I'm glad we did it together.
I'm very glad we did. All right, let's move on to the last movie from this week. We have The Bounty Hunter. A bounty hunter learns that his next target is his ex-wife, a reporter working on a murder cover-up. Soon after their reunion, the always at odds duo find themselves on a run for their lives adventure. Wow, this is bad Photoshop. Like, really
That's
bad.
100% neither of their bodies.
No.
Jennifer Aniston is so much leaner than that.
So, but also Gerard Butler's face doesn't even look like it's Gerard Butler's face.
They definitely were not in the same room together.
No.
For this, there's no way.
No way.
Like it's
At least they got the
just-
eye lines sort of.
Like
Yeah.
they do look like they're looking at each other.
Yeah, so at least there's
Oh, the
that.
old car on fire in the background.
I mean,
knows
it's-
you're
I
in
love
for a
how they, like-
lucky ride.
Made sure that her top is definitely see-through
Yeah.
because
Like it's like let's give a bit of
I
brow
need glasses,
outline.
but like,
Oh,
is
we
it-
can. Do you want to zoom in for you, Nick?
I ain't zooming in on boobs.
Excuse me.
Okay, hang on. I just
Just for evidence.
Taylor's doing this.
no, I was gonna like kind of move the iPad that
Oh,
way
okay.
so that
It's,
you
I
can
can
see
look
it.
at it. I'll look at it later.
Like it's like definitely
Oh,
see-through.
yeah.
Where you're like, why?
I genuinely need glasses. I can't see that from here.
So it's not a great poster.
No.
And whoever decided that font on that banner was a good idea.
No, it's very.
It's just odd. Like it doesn't look like it's professionionally done.
I don't think they spent a lot of money on this movie.
It does not appear that way. No.
No, definitely not. Well, let's talk about The Bounty Hunter.
I mean, what kind of... All right, we're just going to start with... This has to be, like, written by and the wet dream of a guy who got divorced by a really hot woman and wants revenge on her. Like, that's exactly what this movie feels like to me.
It's true.
Like, and then of course at the end he gets to be the hero that wins her back, even though he's a fucking asshole. So that's what this.
That makes sense.
I feel like that's who wrote this movie.
I think, Wet Dream is the best way to describe this movie because there is so many moments.
I should be dubbed like Mr. Bounty Hunter because I don't hate this movie.
Yeah.
Like, I know that it's not a good movie in any way. I don't think Gerard Butler is good at comedy.
No.
In this, at least.
No.
But
I don't think he's good at comedy in general, but yeah.
But like, I don't know. I really like Jennifer Aniston. I think she's
definitely the best part.
She's the best part of it.
She is trying as hard as she can.
And like, I'll admit, I was like, I got a few giggles out of it.
There are some funny moments.
Like, I like that the kind of 80s esqueness about it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, I don't hate this movie with a passion. I could easily watch it and not think. I think my affection for Jennifer Aniston is taking over.
It has trumped what this movie really
because I was like,
is,
I know this isn't a good movie.
Yeah.
But I think she's very much pushing it.
She had the best moments for me, and the funniest lines came from Jennifer Aniston.
I think her little reactions to stuff are like gold.
Yeah.
And
that's that's the point.
Like, I would watch this over a lot of other shit that we've
Oh yeah. And I don't
fair.
hate this movie, but I think you described it best when you said that all of the characters have to just be
all the for the plot to make sense, all the characters have to be idiots.
Yeah.
Like, they can't use common sense or logic or make any decisions that real humans would probably make.
Yeah, like, it's absolutely pushing.
It's like a larger than life sort of movie.
There's nothing remotely like real organic about any of it. But
which is fine. But like, it's definitely a movie where if you tried to use logic at any point, these decisions wouldn't
make.
That's when you start going like, this doesn't make sense. Like, I don't like where this movie's going. But like, you're not. He's just supposed to have fun with it.
I almost feel like if it was Jennifer Aniston and maybe someone a bit more comedically capable, it could have been
I could see that.
something really good.
But I mean, Gerard Butler was sort of like hot stuff at that time. This was like post like The Ugly Truth and things like that. Like, I like The Ugly. No, I actually really like it as well. But like, this is like, that's I think why he was in this movie, because he was comedic in that. So they're like, oh well, he can also do action. So let's put him in something that could be a meld of both.
And I'm quite sure at some stage there was rumors that they were together.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
which is probably not true at all. But they really banked on Jennifer Aniston and Gerard Butler. Like, they really banked on that chemistry.
Yeah.
Which isn't really.
It's not really there.
It's not really there at all.
This movie's very forgettable. Like, I'm struggling to remember a lot of what I watched.
But it is one of those movies. Like, it's like I completely forgot most of it, and that's probably why when we went to rewatch it, I was like, I have no issues rewatching this because I don't remember it being god awful. And then you watch it going, it's pretty bad.
It's bad, but
I was like,
I think Taylor's right though. It leans so hard into its unbelievability that it's like you can't be angry at it for being unbelievable.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, at least you are trying to do what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
So
like, they don't try to make you go, hey, believe that this is actually what's
like this is what we're
like. No, this is just fun and crazy, and that's fine. I just wish there would have been like a couple more moments that got laughs out of me, maybe a little bit better chemistry between them, because like, I get that they're divorced, but like, at the end I don't believe they've fallen back in love with each other again. So
the funniest Jennifer Aniston moment for me is when she's getting the ride from the guy on the kid on the bicycle, and she's like, I don't have any money, and he's like, you could show me your boobs, and she's like, all right, fine. And then pulls over, and then the next shot is her riding away on the bike. He's like, my boss is going to kill me. She's like, show me your penis. And I was like, that is the funniest line. That is such a good little fuck you. It's a little...
There are like moments like that where I'm like, okay, that is clever. That's genuinely
That's what I mean. I thought it was like a well-written line,
yeah.
and she delivered it so
That's
funny.
it. Like,
so well.
She's great at comedy.
Oh, yeah.
She's acting in a much better movie.
Yeah, that's it. She's like, it's almost just like, like they've given her something amazing and they've given everyone else crap, and she's just like, I'm going to stay being amazing. You can all be crap.
She didn't succumb to the level of everyone else.
No.
And that makes her stand out.
That makes this movie like watchable.
Yeah.
As for the 90, 100 minutes, whatever it is. Like it doesn't. I don't think it overstays its welcome. It kind of is like it needs. It's
It did
as long
fly
as
by pretty quickly.
It's as long as it needs to be.
There's one actor, though, I feel for the worst in this movie. He got the shortest end of the short stick.
Sudeikis.
Yeah.
Jason Sudeikis in this
too.
movie is just I
And
feel
like
so
a
bad
lot
for
of
him.
and like Jason Sudeikis and Jennifer Aniston have worked together in other films where they work off each
Like
other.
We're the
Oh,
Millers.
yeah.
We're the Millers and
Oh,
Horrible Bosses.
they're so
They work
funny
off each other.
together.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. This movie, yeah,
Not so
like
much.
not so much.
But they give him, like,
He doesn't have
the
yeah.
worst role.
Yeah.
Like,
It's-
he is just...
Yeah, and it's not even like the role doesn't really need to be in the movie. Like
No.
it doesn't add any
No.
substance to it because she's not getting. They almost treat it like she's been kidnapped, and he's the thing that they'll use to bring her. I don't
Whereas
know,
she's just like she's incredibly capable.
Yeah. Oh,
Like,
God, yeah.
Never at any stage she'd be like, I feel like Jennifer Aniston will like kick the shit out of all of you.
Oh yeah.
I mean, those carbs.
But, like, but the thing
Some
is,
power
it's not
in
even,
those.
like... It's just sad because it's not even like they ever had any chemistry as their characters. Like, clearly she
No,
wants nothing to do with him.
yeah.
So what's the point of just shoving him back into the story when
Yeah,
he
yeah.
doesn't actually end up doing anything to further
yeah.
anything? Like,
No, it's such an unnecessary.
it's just
role.
cringy a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Which Jason Sudeikis can do cringy, and he can do it well. But it
I
just
think he
wasn't.
did a great
Yeah,
job
like, here's
with the
the-
role.
It just doesn't
He's
make
good in the
sense.
role. It's
Yeah.
just he's been given
the role
a horrible
doesn't
role.
make sense,
Yeah.
No, it's not a
Yeah.
good role.
But out of all these movies, I would recommend The Bounty Hunter.
I would watch
Yes,
The Bounty Hunter.
I watched The
yeah,
Bounty
I'd
Hunter
watch
most.
out of the three of them.
1,000 times over.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's move on to weekend box
office.
We have, in its third week, Alice in Wonderland with 34.1 million. Diary of a Wimpy Kid with 22.1 million. The Bounty Hunter with 20 million.
Wow.
Repo Man with 6.12
Oof.
million.
That makes sense.
That's a drop.
Green Zone with 6.11 million. She's Out of My League with 5.8 million. Shutter Island with 4.7 million.
Wow.
Avatar with 4 million. Our Family Wedding with 3.7 and Remember Me with $3.2 million.
We won't remember you, remember me.
What a big drop.
Yeah.
Repo Man, like
But
from
I mean,
3
like,
to 4.
yeah, number 3, 20 million. Number 4, 6 million.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Those top three are pretty close to each
So
other.
that's like
and
that's
then
a good.
That's solid.
That's a good opening weekend for.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
For both, for
both
Diary
of them,
and,
yeah.
and Bounty. Dropped off from last week. Brooklyn's Finest dropped from 8th. Cop Out dropped from 9th. And The Crazies dropped from 10th.
so sad.
All right, let's move on to major movie news. Tom Hanks looks to produce an adaptation of Green Day's Broadway show American Idiot. Ian McShane, Penelope Cruz, and Jeffrey Rush all confirm that they are to join Pirates of the Caribbean 4 alongside Johnny Depp. Will be released summer of 2011. And I am so glad this one doesn't actually come true. Ruben Fleischer is in talks to direct Mission Impossible 4. And lastly, Tim Burton signs on to direct a stop-motion version of Addams Family.
Oh.
wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
that would have worked. I think
Yeah.
that actually could have been interesting.
But instead, we got the garbage freaking Addams Family that we got last year. What was
I
it?
didn't hate that movie. The one that came out. I didn't love it, don't get me wrong, but I didn't think it was.
I was just so angry that it was like,
But
Oscar Isaac, who would be a perfect.
And then
live
made it
action
not
Gomez.
live action.
made
I
it,
know.
yeah.
I will never forgive whoever was
I
responsible
would
for that
definitely
decision.
much rather watch a Tim Burton stop
Yeah,
motion
like-
one. That seems a little more in the wheelhouse of what the Addams Family could be like.
But it's interesting. I mean,
Dude, the fact that Tom Hanks was interested in the Broadway show American Idiot is very interesting to
Yeah.
me because I do love the stage show. It's actually very good.
Cool.
But the
I haven't
fact
seen
that he was the one
Yeah.
to be
to
like,
produce
I
it,
see
yeah.
something here. That's really cool to me. That's
Yeah.
very
That's
interesting.
very cool.
it's interesting to think like if that was now, it probably would get some legs because we're
Yeah.
back into musicals can
Musicals,
start,
yeah.
starting to do a thing again. I mean, even in 2010 they were starting to come back a little
I
bit
suppose
you had
because we had
well, 9 just dropped,
Which
which didn't do anything. But then Les Mis comes out in 2 years.
Yeah.
Like they're slowly starting to come back a little bit, but then really La La and Greatest Showman were the ones that went, oh no, musicals can do a thing now. Like the non-established ones can actually do something. Ruben Fleischer doing Mission Impossible 4. I'm so glad that didn't happen.
Well, this would be off the Zombieland success, I'm guessing, yeah.
Yeah. So he would have done it instead of Brad Bird, and I have a feeling this version of the script would have been Jeremy Renner taking over. And I think that when Brad Bird came in, I was like, no, actually, I'm going to keep Tom Cruise as being the lead.
Yeah. What a legendary decision.
Oh, God, yes.
I know. Yeah, wow.
So good.
And then obviously, Pirates 4. I mean, it came out, it happened. I remember Ian McShane being cast as Blackbeard was a big thing. Like, it was like, oh, cool, that's really cool because he was still off the Deadwood. He was off, he was starting to. He was a big name, but hadn't quite crossed over to Hollywood to film yet. So I mean, didn't really do anything, but
I remember not liking Pirates 4 at all.
I also think that it's interesting because this was the one where it was it's just Depp coming back.
That's
like,
it.
No one else is coming back.
Bloom,
it's just
Knightley,
Depp, and
people were not happy with that decision. I remember people being so angry that Keira Knightley was not gonna come back because it's just these movies are fascinating to me because Keira Knightley is kind of a representation to me of the start of women going, you gave us this kick-ass character in a pirate world, and then she's just not.
She's the damsel in distress.
She's the damsel in distress, and then she's not gonna come back, and she's not and people were just like, Johnny Depp's great, but like,
because Keira Knightley's character really evolved over those 3 films. Like the way she ended up in number 3, you're like, oof, you can.
But I think
we can leave. Like, you can take care of yourself.
But 4 really established. No, Depp's Jack Sparrow is the supporting. It's not his story, and you can't make it his story. Like 2 and 3, at the heart of those films, while Jack definitely has a main role in it. It's Orlando and it's Will. It's their story. Whereas and all 3 of them are their stories. Whereas in 4, it's his story and.
5 again.
Even 5. Well, 5's not. It's
Brenton Thwaites.
Yeah, it's Brenton Thwaites' story, and 5. I don't think 5's terrible. Like, I think 4 is the worst of the lot. And I think 5 they kind of went, no, we need 2 other people who aren't
Johnny Depp.
We need someone else to be in the
What's
film.
What's number 5 called?
Dead Man Tell No Tales.
That's right. That's such a long title.
Yeah.
But it's I don't know. Those movies are interesting to me because we rewatched them last year.
We watched the first 3, yeah.
And I do like them a lot, but for some reason they're just they're not ones that I just go back to. We'll turn Harry Potter on, we'll turn Star Wars on, we'll turn a Marvel movie on. But for some reason, I just don't really go back to pirates all that much, even though I love the idea. Pirates are the coolest. I love stories about pirates and that kind of world building. I think it's so cool, but I don't know what it is.
I mean, I like the first one. I'm not a fan of any of the other ones. I haven't watched them enough to really care. But it's the same thing. It's when you make a movie that's based on a theme park ride, and you don't have enough world building established early on. How exciting can you make 5 movies of it that are not just based around Jack Sparrow? You know what I mean? So.
But that is this week's episode of 10 Years On. And
I'd like to acknowledge that we've taken another step on this show. First, we discovered Dr. Cop-Out. Yes. Now we have Mr. Bounty Hunter. Okay. It's only a matter of time before we find our true calling.
Yep, our embarrassing.
Lady Leap Year.
No.
Last, just real quickly, in Australian release dates on March 18th, we got Brothers, Cop-Out, The Rebound, and The Bounty Hunter. I just want to say real quickly about The Rebound. It never got a theatrical release in the US. It only ever went straight to DVD in the US because the company went bankrupt.
Oh.
So they were able to release it here, and they never could afford to release it in the US.
Oh.
So
Is that Catherine Zeta-Jones and
Yep.
Justin Bartha?
yeah. So
never seen
yeah, it never got a theatrical US release. It's just quite interesting.
Sometimes Australia does win.
Sometimes we get movies. There's one at the moment that hasn't still come out in the US, even though it's finished in Australia and will be on Blu-ray soon.
You're not missing.
You're really not. Guys, next week, if you are playing along at home, we actually have a really good week. It's Hot Tub Time Machine and How to Train Your Dragon next week. If you do want to follow along, just watch those movies and we'll be back next week talking about them.
We want to hear what you guys think. If you have been following along, or if you've ever seen any of these movies, or if you haven't and you're just enjoying hearing the chaos that we have going on from watching them. We'd love to hear from you guys. Comments are always great. It brings up new conversations for us to have. And it's just really good feeling for us to know that people are enjoying this nonsense that we do all the time.
So guys, please like, share, subscribe. If you can leave a comment below, that would be great. Until next time, guys, my name is Jacob Blunden. I want to thank my wonderful panel for joining me as always. And until then, we shall see you next time.